find out what they're meant to do.
Georges St. Pierre represents the very best aspects of martial arts.
Not everyone gets to discover the one thing they're better at than anyone else in the world.
Without argument, the greatest welterweight champion in UFC history.
In another time, Georges St. Pierre was the best fighter on the planet. A machine, they called him.
He's constantly searching for the impossible goal of perfection.
Until one day, 4 years ago, at the very height of his powers, he decided he didn't want to fight anymore.
I need to hang up my glove for a little bit.
Are you retiring right now? Is that what you're saying?
Which, for the first time since he'd become a household name, raised questions about who Georges St. Pierre was.
Did what he said tonight come as a shock to you?
I mean, did he say he wants to retire?
And what he thought he was meant to do. But then, earlier this year, came something else just as unexpected.
It's not over yet. This battle's only begun.
Ladies and gentlemen, Georges St. Pierre is back.
And a whole new set of questions about a superstar who was never quite like all the others.
Why was now the right time?
Has fighting passed St. Pierre by?
What ultimately convinced you that you were capable of being the old GSP?
It's not over yet.
Or could this be the beginning of a whole new story of glory?
Now that we've pulled the thread, what's coming can't be undone.
This is the tale of all the reasons you won't be able to look away as one of the greatest ever makes his return.
Georges St. Pierre is a special fighter.
Every legend starts somewhere, and the legend of Georges St. Pierre started in Quebec, Canada, 20 miles south of Montreal.
Ho! Ho!
I grew up on countryside. It's called Saint-Isidore. It's a farm town. You know, it's a lot of farm there. It's like 3,000 people live there. Show you the basement where I grew up. That's a punching bag. I used to train this for a long time. This punching bag is older than me.
But as a young kid, St. Pierre didn't gravitate to that punching bag instinctively.
I had problem going in school. I was bullied a lot. I was not carrying myself with confidence. I was looking down, shrugged my shoulder. The bully will always try to aim for the easier target, the person who looked weak.
St. Pierre's father, Roland, grew concerned for his son and enrolled him in Kyokushin karate.
J'ai pas laissé le choix.
Pousse, mon nom, Georges Pierre, mon karaté, Kyokushin Kai, mon kata, Basadai.
Les habilités, il y avait le talent probablement plus que la moyenne. Puis, c'est entraîné, la persévérance.
Karate gave me confidence, you know. Karate is not in the dojo. Karate is how you treat people in life, how you carry yourself. When you shake people, look in the eyes, that's karate. I didn't look like an easy target anymore, so the bully stopped.
As St. Pierre grew older, he fully immersed himself in karate. But then, on a fateful night in 1993, was inspired to branch out further into the martial arts.
We watched the first UFC and I saw Royce Gracie.
Royce Gracie!
He won the tournament against guys that were much bigger than him. It made me remember my past when I was bullied in school. So it was very motivating for me to see a small guy beat up a bigger guy.
It's gotta be a great joke, it's over.
Royce Gracie became my hero, and I was like, man, what is this jiu-jitsu? I wanted to learn it.
But in those early days of mixed martial arts, that was easier said than done. And to find high-level Brazilian jiu-jitsu training, St. Pierre had to drive 6 hours south to Renzo Gracie's academy in New York City.
The first time I had to go to New York, I couldn't speak English. I was broke, and I was like, man, I don't even know if I have enough money to go there, train, pay the hotel and the food.
The first time he came here, he used to be like more like a kickboxing. He was learning to grapple.
I got beat up by a guy who was like 30 pounds lighter than me, and I was shocked.
My grandfather used to have a saying, while you're the anvil, hang in there. When you become the hammer, hit hard. You know, so that was George. While he was the anvil, he thought about quitting, but he did not.
They beat me up, I tapped, then I came back. I said, oh, you want to do again? Okay, let's do again.
He hanging there getting his ass kicked on an everyday basis until the day that he stopped paying back. That's the difference between the champion and an ordinary man.
Nice.
St. Pierre soon began merging karate, jiu-jitsu, and other martial arts to build his style. He then turned pro, turning heads in Canada with what even then looked to be singular gifts. And all the while, he had his eye toward breaking into the UFC.
UFC is the best organization. They have the best fighter all around the world. And for me, it's a great honor for me to be invited to fight here.
Fighting out of Montreal, Quebec, Canada, please welcome George Rush.
St. Pierre was 22 when he made his UFC debut in 2004.
George St. Pierre comes with a big reputation from Canada.
And right from the start, his tremendous talent was unmistakable.
Congratulations, George St. Pierre.
Standing knockout victory. Very impressive.
His first title shot came in just his third UFC fight. And it came against a welterweight legend in Matt Hughes, the ferocious future Hall of Famer who'd become as dominant in the division as any fighter in history. St. Pierre had never fought with so much at stake, and the pressure clearly got to him.
I think I overestimated Matt Hughes a little bit. I could not look at him in the eyes. It was like a monument, it was like a legend.
Are you ready? Let's get it on, come on.
It made me remember a little bit like when I was bullied in school. Sometimes I had to fight these guys that were bigger, stronger than me, and I was going into a fight that I couldn't win.
There it is. Matt Hughes 101.
Matt Hughes is so powerful. Matt Hughes doing what Matt Hughes does.
Matt Hughes looking at submission, and it's all over. Matt Hughes is the welterweight champion.
UFC welterweight.
Unfortunately, I lost that fight, but it made me stronger.
I didn't sleep for 2 days. I didn't sleep, and I was always only think about the position. Okay, if you do that, I'm gonna do that. If you do that, did you? And now, and I don't thought about this position. So you get me. Next time, I'm.
Now you know.
So St. Pierre went back to work and back to dominating his opponents.
George St. Pierre dominant in every phase of the game, standing up and on the ground.
And after 5 straight wins, another shot against Hughes came in November 2006, a chance to avenge defeat and earn a world title. Two years after his first chance at Matt Hughes for the world title, George St. Pierre got another shot. But this time, he wouldn't be overwhelmed by the moment.
I realized that I had all the tools. I was very confident, and I knew I was going to win.
Are you ready? Let's get it on. So much stronger mentally than he was when they first met.
That night in Sacramento, every strike seemed to signal the coming of a new era.
Head kick, down goes Hughes. Oh, he's hurt. St. Pierre trying to finish it with the elbow, and it is all over.
George St. Pierre was 25 years old.
Tonight, the future has become the present.
A champion who looked simply unstoppable. His next fight came against Matt Serra, who earned his title shot after winning the UFC's reality show, The Ultimate Fighter. But St. Pierre was an 11-1 favorite. A vaunted champion against an unheralded challenger.
I just beat the best welterweight of all time. And I'm like, I'm gonna beat this guy, it's gonna be easy.
St. Pierre is buckled. Serra is going for the finish.
Unbelievable. Incredible.
It's over.
It's an humiliation. The worst humiliation of my career.
Matt Serra has shocked the world.
It taught me a big lesson of life.
And now, the new.
Et ça, on l'a tout su pareil. Il a pris peut-être pas ça assez au sérieux.
I'm gonna have to come back, you know, stronger next time.
The setback may have been embarrassing, but St. Pierre was determined to make the most of it. And his first move was to make a change in camp by hiring a new head coach. Even if the man he hired was a familiar face.
Let's go, ready? Bravo, bravo, bravo. Way, beautiful.
The decision turned out to be the birth of one of the most successful fighter-trainer relationships in the history of mixed martial arts.
When George was going through his career, I was always an assistant coach. I was always helping him out.
Beautiful 1-2, George.
But it was after his loss to Matt Serra that he asked me to become his head coach and really plan all his training.
Time. Good job, good job.
Also added to the team was Renzo Gracie black belt John Danaher, offering a lifetime of jiu-jitsu knowledge. For St. Pierre, the focus was on adding new techniques and evolving so fast, his competitors wouldn't be able to keep up.
Line your body up, George. Take away the angles.
George is one of the very few students who went beyond the teachings of all of his masters. He learned to combine the skills of each one of them.
Forehead pressure, be severe.
But no one person ever taught George to bring all those skills and merge them. That was done by himself.
A new day had dawned at 170 pounds in the UFC, and inarguably,
Complete, total domination.
undisputedly, the division belonged to George St. Pierre.
It is going to be so hard for anyone to stop this.
I can see now why he's the champion.
George was in the golden era of the welterweight division, and George cleaned out the golden era.
That shows why he's the pound-for-pound #1 fighter in the world.
Staying on top, it became an obsession for George St. Pierre.
He is constantly searching for the impossible goal of perfection.
And as he chased perfection, everyone else chased him, one opponent after another, each one ever more hungry to dethrone him.
No matter how good you get, what status you reach, there's always going to be someone looking to take what you have. That's who I am to George right now.
Every time I was fighting a guy, the moment I was beating him, I knew right away was another guy in line. My brain, the way it switches, right away I'm done with something, boom, no rest. Start thinking about the next challenge.
He's gonna try to walk through me, and he's not gonna walk through me.
Do you really think I'm afraid of you?
No, that's fine. Okay, no, I don't.
You scared? You think I'm afraid of you, man? Are you crazy in your head, man?
Nick Diaz has been asking for the George St. Pierre fight because he believes he has the skills and the will to beat the champion.
I was thinking, who will be more happy to win the title this time? Myself, who won it maybe 9 times, or the challenger?
These fights and the attention that you get and the demands on you as champion, are you finding it more difficult these days?
GSP, I'll fly to your house, I'll hire a ref, and we'll do something about it.
As St. Pierre disposed of challenger after challenger, as easy as it may have looked from outside the octagon, the absolute dedication took its toll.
Every great fighter has always struggled with success. It's hard to get out of bed when you're sleeping in silk sheets with millions of dollars in your bank account and go into a gym filled with angry people who want to punch you in the face. And so the challenge for a fighter is not so much the rise to the top, but the attempt to stay at the top.
And then, after defending his title for a 9th time, George St. Pierre determined that the pressure to win, to devastate, to be perfect was just too much.
I need to hang up my glove for a little bit.
Are you retiring right now? Is that what you're saying?
You have to go. Yes, man. I have so much stress, so much stuff going on in my life. I don't know what to say. I mean, it is what it is, you know?
You know, you can't be at your peak your entire career. George had the world record for most hours spent in the octagon. And believe me, after you spend 5 hours of competition time in the octagon, that means you've spent thousands of hours preparing.
It's not only physically. A big part of my energy drain is mental.
I left everything I had, like I left it all in the octagon.
It's not a healthy way of living.
A legend had stepped away, but he'd also not shut the door on the idea of a return. When Georges St-Pierre stepped away from the UFC in 2013 as a world champion at his peak, it was unprecedented. But St-Pierre never used the word retirement to describe his move. He left open the chance for a return. That is, if the sport changed in some critical ways.
There were a lot of guys that were cheating, and I knew they were cheating.
I never took steroid in my life, and I'm for Olympic testing in my sport. I wanted to show everyone that it's possible to be champion without using drug, and I wanted to make a statement, raise the bar.
In every sport, there's an evolution, and I'm very happy that UFC took the initiative.
The UFC has retained the United States Anti-Doping Agency as the independent administrator for a new drug testing policy.
Oh, yeah. And then, of course, his living an extreme life of always training around the clock, always preparing for another world title fight. It's a grueling aspect of his physical training, prepping for a fight. I think he just needed to slow down. Having a break for George definitely prolonged his career, helped his body heal.
All told, his hiatus will ultimately time out at nearly 4 years. But there are some parts of fighting impervious to time, like going to camp and rediscovering the love of the sport every day.
So if I'm here, I get the position, you see my shoulder is pinned against his thoracic. I get a head.
Yeah, I've never seen George this happy, honestly. This is fight camp already, and he's actually happy. He's actually less stressed than usual. He's actually more laid back than usual.
I can take the leg, I step behind, and I'm pulling his leg.
I think he's matured, and he's learned that the process can be also enjoyable. It doesn't have to be so suffocating.
And for GSP, camp is about more than just mixed martial arts. He also incorporates other forms of training, which he says balance him as an athlete.
I've done gymnastics because gymnastics is a sport that can make you the most athletic. My only regret is I should have started a long time ago when I was a kid. Gymnastics is the best way of training. Water training is great because it doesn't create inflammation into your joint. It's very good for therapeutic use and very good for performance.
Then there are the more distinctive aspects of his preparation, which are completed at Quebec's Olympic Training Center.
I work with neurologists to increase my reaction time.
Oh, yeah.
The symbol have no real meaning. So George have to interpret what symbol correspond to left or right foot. As soon as you understand which symbol correspond to which foot, you have to react as fast as possible. If we react too fast, we consider that's anticipation.
Yes!
34.
Oh my God, yes! It's my record. I just beat my record.
At the beginning, he used to be an average in 500 milliseconds. Now, his average score is around 150 milliseconds.
The best out of me have not been shown yet. I feel on the top of my game right now.
At the age of 36, 4 years removed from his last fight, Georges St-Pierre looks to be as focused as ever, which will be essential, considering he's coming back to fight an opponent as dangerous as any he's ever faced.
I would not have been back for something small. I wanted to be back for the biggest thing possible.
For his return to fighting, Georges St-Pierre only wanted something big. He got his wish.
While you were away, I was man enough to still be fighting those guys.
Michael Bisping has won more than anyone else in UFC history. He's the world middleweight champion. A division 15 pounds heavier than where St-Pierre once reigned supreme. Now Bisping says it's his time.
The fact of the matter is you're looking at the best in the world, period.
So, On November 4th at Madison Square Garden, Georges St. Pierre's career finally resumes after all these years spent in history's purgatory.
I need to hang up my glove for a little bit. Are you retiring right now? Is that what you're saying?
It could be a harsh reminder that time never stops moving, or proof that a fighting machine doesn't age like everyone else.
Fight the break of dawn, come tomorrow I'll be gone.
Either way, what's undeniable is that in stepping into the octagon with Michael Bisping, Georges St. Pierre is risking everything. His legacy, his body, his story. While also seeking to join a select group who've won world titles in multiple weight classes.
That's gonna spark that competitive fire again in him. And it's a challenge, it's a higher bar. It's a higher bar to clear.
But the man he's fighting is now at the top of the sport, who has no interest in a comeback story, no interest in anything but destroying St. Pierre.
Like I said, he's talking out of his arse. George retired when he did because he couldn't take the pace anymore. And on the night, that's all going to come back to him. And he's going to think to himself, why the f am I doing this?
This is the path Georges St. Pierre has chosen. This is the only way to get an answer to every question.
A lot of things has changed in 4 years. It's going to be a new Georges St. Pierre.